Hello everybody, we are starting the Owlcrate purge today, which is actually not on my agenda. It is October 26th, and I've been fighting a migraine for 3 days. It's been great. It's not like a full-blown migraine, it's just like the sty thing that like randomly comes and goes lately. It's weird. It's weird. I think it's because the weather is so crazy and we've been at my parents' house, which is like a different environment with the weather. I'm just over it. I'd rather just have like a full-blown migraine at this point, which it might win today. It might happen today. It feels like it's happening today. I've been nauseous all day. I kind of just like want to start this so that I'm hoping I pick one that is like audio friendly. Like it sounds really good on audiobooks, so I can just lay down, relax, listen to it, and it's just like a good time. So I'm looking for like almost like a cozier fantasy or a sci-fi book or just anything that sounds good on audiobook is kind of the idea. So I kind of gave a hint about what I was doing in this video, but if you couldn't tell, these are all of my Owlcrate books. I actually don't have that many because I've actually read a lot of my Owlcrate books, but I think I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So I have 20 books, which again is significantly less than I thought, but apparently I've been keeping up pretty well with my Owlcrate books, slash some of them were Illumicrates and Fairy Loots that I had already read and they were doubled up. So kind of the idea is I just didn't want to go in order like what I did with Illumicrate. I definitely wanted to do something more unexpected, and I think what I want to do for Fairy Loot, I'm still not sure, but I wanted to do something different for like each volume. Obviously for Owlcrate we are doing mystery picks. These are all mixed up. I don't know what they are. I wrapped them 2 weeks ago. I wrapped them all like over 2 weeks, so I have no idea what they are. Like you can kind of guess though, like what, like there's taller ones, the taller ones can be something else, etc. There's also a fake in here. There's a Foul Days #2 is actually wrapped, but what it actually is Serpent in the Wings of Night, because I actually did not like my Owlcrate looking copy of Serpent in the Wings of Night, so I gave that away. But I do have a regular paperback, but it would have been really obvious which one that was because all the rest are hardcover. So if I pull that, it's actually Serpent in the Wings of Night. But I think what I want to do for the next series, I might have my husband pick which Fairy Loot books that I'm reading. Like just have him come in and just pick a random one and be like, this is the one you're reading. I think that could be really fun. I'm still toying with that. We have quite a while until we get to a Fairy Loot. I'm assuming this just depends how many I read. Like this is purge videos, but the idea is that I read all of these and I like all of these. Otherwise, we're purging. We're purging. But yeah, I didn't want to go in order. None of them are in order. I can kind of guess which ones are adult, like they're going to be the taller ones, but not necessarily because Foul Days is a smaller one. So it's definitely going to be random. So I am hoping for something that sounds good on an audiobook, and maybe not necessarily fantasy, which most of these are fantasy, but I do like other genres better on audiobook over fantasy because I like to physically read fantasy or with my Kindle. Ready to start. I don't know how many books we're doing. We're just kind of going until it feels good. But I do plan to take my time with these books compared to kind of how I rush through Illumicrate. I am expecting to like these better. I just am, because I have much better ratings with Owlcrate and Fairy Loot than I did with Illumicrate. So let's pick our first book. I'm excited. I do kind of want a young adult book. I don't know if I want anything too serious, so I think I'm gonna attempt to go for one of the shorter books. That doesn't necessarily mean it's gonna be young adult because some of the young adults were taller. So I think, let's see. This is way stressful. This is really stressful. I think let's go with, oh, that one's chunky. I don't really want a chunky book. Do I want a chunky book? They're all the same. They all feel the same to me. I thought I would be able to kind of tell. I cannot tell. Okay, let's pick one of this one. You know what? This actually feels good. Maybe. I really don't know because I wrap them and then I mix them all up and then I put them on the shelves. Okay, this feels hefty. It feels kind of light. It doesn't feel like a square spine, so that's interesting. I don't know what that means. There's not that many square spines, but it doesn't feel like a square spine. Okay, let's see. Is this the one that everybody wants me to read? I can't tell which way is forward either. Is this Buried in the Bound? Yes. Wait, is it? I can't tell which way this goes. I should have figured that out too. This is literally the one everybody wanted me to read. That's crazy. Okay. I feel like this is a really good pick, but also I don't really want to listen to this one on audiobook. because I feel like I want to give it the best opportunity to be good. So I want to physically read this one. But this is going to be our first book. I don't think we're going to do it on audiobook. We might check out the audiobook. But yeah, The Buried and the Bound. That's hilarious that this is our first book, because I'm not kidding you the amount of comments that I've gotten about this book and how good this book is. So I guess we're going to go read The Buried and the Bound. I don't really know what this one is about. Ooh, Hedge Witch. I do like magic and witches. It takes place in Massachusetts. It kind of actually does look like a plant cozy fantasy potentially. Ooh, okay. This sounds interesting. This sounds interesting. I'll come back with the first update eventually. Again, I don't know if I'm going to get to this today or I'll end up listening to something else, but we will be reading The Buried and the Bound as our very first Owlcrate Purge book. First official update on reading. We're almost 50% into The Buried and the Bound. We are 171 pages, or chapter 18. I have some thoughts about this book. I am enjoying it. I'm enjoying it. We are not in fear of a DNF, so it's really cool that we're starting with what will be a finished book. Problem that I'm running into, though, is I don't love the pacing, and I think that has to do with the fact that there's 3 different points of view, which is something I generally do not enjoy. Once we go over 2 points of view, it's when I start kind of losing interest. So I don't love that this is told in 3 points of view. I get why it is, but I don't think it's necessarily like, I guess it is important, like it has to be, but I don't really care much about Leo's point. That's the problem. Like, each point of view is great on its own. It's just too much for one book is the problem. So we're following 3 different main characters. We have Aziza, who is this hedge witch and arguably probably has the least interesting storyline. I liked her storyline the best first, but now she's almost like not really that important. Like, we don't know that much about her, and she is literally just a hedge witch trying to figure out what is going on in this town. So she is like important, but her storyline just isn't really that interesting compared to the other stuff that's going on. So she is literally just the hedge witch trying to protect humans from the Fae and protect Fae from the humans, because there's like a bunch of attacks going on and the border between Fae lands and the human lands is not very strong anymore. So she's trying to figure that out. And then you have the point of view of Leo, who is cursed and he does not remember his true love. It's really, really interesting. And his parents are also both cursed and they will not tell him why they're cursed. So I'm curious like exactly what happened with that. So we're trying to learn about that in his point of view. And he also cannot remember, like I said, his true love. So he has a bunch of missing memories. And then we have Tristan, who is about the same age as Aziza and Leo, but he is bound to a hag and has to do her bidding in exchange for some sort of like magical wish or something like that. So those are our 3 points of view, and they obviously like have to do with each other. It was very obvious, like, relating to the 2 points of views relating to each other, what, you know, the connection between them was. I don't think that necessarily is supposed to be much of a surprise, but I will say, like, I have an issue again with each point of view. With Aziza, it's just, I feel like it's just kind of boring and it's not really about her. And then with Leo, he reads very young, like so young, especially to be like missing your true love. He's 16, but he reads even younger. He reads almost 14 years old. And then Tristan almost reads like he's like 20 with all the shit that he's been through. And I just am kind of bored by Tristan's chapters. There's just a lot of repetitiveness. And I think that's the problem with the whole book, is the pacing is just off because the author doesn't want to rush into things happening, but that's creating a lot of repetitive things happening in the plot. So like wolves attack, Aziza saves things, this happens, wolves attack again, talk about what's going on, wolves attack again, find out what this is, wolves attack again. It's just so repetitive, and it's making me feel like I'm much farther into this book than I really am. I feel like just not much has happened for being 45% of the way through the book. Like, I basically understand the world, and I love the nostalgia vibes of this. Again, this feels like a Luminary story, a Raven Cycle story. It feels like that. Again, it's small town, woodsy kind of thing going on. So I love that vibe, which is why I am using my Twilight bookmark. It feels very appropriate. So I am hoping it picks up a little bit more and it gets a little bit more interesting because, man, 43% of the way through and I am bored. Okay, it is pretty late at night. It is 10 o'clock and I just finished The Buried and the Bound. I could not put it down after that 60% mark. Basically, this second after I talked to you guys about how I wanted it to kind of pick up and really like start doing something, it did. It did. This was so good. I'm giving this a 4-star. This is the first book we're completing for this Owlcrate Purge vlog. I'm so excited. I am keeping this. I have also just purchased the second book from Owlcrate, and it is on the way here. I am so excited about that. I love the point system. That's so great because I only paid for shipping because I have so many freaking points because of how many book boxes I've bought. So yeah, I bought the second book because I am so excited about it. I'm also really sad that apparently the third book isn't coming out until 2026. So not as excited about that. But I don't know if I can stop myself from reading the book the second it gets here because I am so curious where the series is going. So good. It's so good. Again, I definitely think there was a lot of pacing problems at the beginning of the book where I was trying to set things up. And I think a lot of that comes from having 3 main characters at the beginning just because that is a lot to get through. But once it kind of like brought everybody together and they were all working together at the same time, so phenomenal. And this book did such a good job of setting up another book. Like this wrapped up in a way that you technically, if you just wanted to like finish Aziza's story, you could probably actually stop here and you would be okay. Like if you just gave this a 3-star and you're unsure about continuing in the series, you could stop here. There's definitely a couple mysteries that have been set up that you're going to miss out on, but it wouldn't be like, oh my gosh, I have to read the next book. It's not that kind of situation. It just sets up like other parts of the story to be continued in the next book. So like, I don't want to give anything away because I don't want to tell you what was solved in this and what wasn't, because some of the things that I talked about were solved, some of the things I talked about were not solved. So yeah, but I would say the main overarching evil in this was solved with the other things kind of going on to the next books. I love the relationships, the found family. It was very heartwarming at the end and just so beautifully written. And I am very impressed with the writing of this book. This writer has really good writing style. I ended up really enjoying this 4-star. I'm keeping it. I'm so glad you guys told me to read this one because you guys were right. You guys were right. This is a really good one. And now we get to pick another book. Again, don't know how many books we're going to get to in this video. I'm kind of just going to keep picking until I decide the video is done. Yeah, it's 10 o'clock. We're going to pick a new book. I doubt I'll get to it. Depends. It depends which one it is, but I doubt I'll get to it right away. I do need to read a book for my other video. This one definitely comes second because this one isn't on like a real tight schedule. The other one is I have to read my book box books in the month I get them or the month after. So that is on a tight schedule because that video has to come out by the end of January. So this one, even though I'm kind of more excited to work on this, the other one does take priority. But yeah, I am really excited that we like the very first book. This is so awesome. I'm gonna laugh if this ends up not being like a purge video at all. Anyway, we gotta pick the next one. I don't know which one to pick. I don't remember what packaging the other one was either. Okay, so I picked a short book. Maybe I should pick a tall one. This one's thin. See, I don't want to pick all the thin ones because that's the problem. Is like I'm looking and I'm like, oh, I should pick the short ones. That doesn't mean it's better. That does not mean it's better. It just means I will not take as long of a time doing it, but then it'll leave me all the long books at the end. So maybe we should just do like let's pick from this let's pick from this shelf. And so it's a short one. Okay. Feels medium size. It feels about the same size as The Buried and the Bound. It's a little smaller. I don't know. I feel like can you shake it? That's what it is. I'm trying to see which, I don't know which is like oh my gosh, I'm so nervous. I don't know which side is like the front, but we're gonna guess that this is the front. I think I got it wrong on the last one. Okay. This is like the depths. This is the depths. Interesting. Not really what I want to read. This is a horror book, and I definitely just don't feel like reading horror. Oh, this one was not a good pick for right now for my mood. I don't really want to read this. I'm going to. Oh, this is pretty. Okay, I'm gonna read it like this because this is much more interesting, although I'm nervous because that makes me think that the boy is bad or like he's gonna die at the end to sacrifice himself to help her. Oh, it's so pretty though. Oh my gosh, it's so pretty. This is a gorgeous case wrap. Is this like one of the only case wraps Owlcrate has done? I don't know. I don't really want to read this, but we're gonna try it. A quick update. It is literally the next morning, and I am going to be DNFing the depths. Let me put the actual cover back on. Now I'm sad because I was like, oh, it's so pretty. It's so pretty. We don't have a case wrap from Owlcrate. It's the prettier books. Is that the thing? Are prettier books really just that bad? Because that's what it's starting to feel like. So anyway, yeah, I'm DNFing this for, I don't think this is bad, but it is, I feel like I've read this book 1,000 times before. It's just one of those young adult horror books that I'm just so meh about because I feel like I've read it so many times before. Like I think this past year or last year, it might have been 2023, I read Rin Chapiko's The Island, and this has like, they're nothing alike. They're nothing alike, but in my brain, they are like the same book. I don't know what it is. So when I was reading this, I was just like, I really don't want to read this because I feel like I've read this already. I don't love island horror. I like island thrillers, but when it's horror, it's the same thing generally every single time. And I already knew what the twist was going to be in this. Like it was super obvious when she met this character that it was not as it seemed. And I was like, yeah, that's not what it is. And yeah, I skimmed ahead and we found out that that was what I thought was true, and I don't like the direction that took. It also read really young compared to what I like reading, so this almost felt like a middle grade horror immediately at the beginning, and the main character was also already driving me crazy. Every single character in this was already driving me crazy, and I do think that part does have to do with me being in my 30s, because she was making like faces and being grossed out by her mom being happy in her new relationship, and I'm like, if this is going to be the whole book, I literally don't want to deal with this. So I think that definitely has to do with me being older. I feel like if I was a teenager, I'd be like, okay, yeah, I get it. Because a lot of my friends' parents were going through divorces in middle school and high school, and that's kind of their reactions too when they were getting together with someone new. It was kind of weird. So yeah, so this was a DNF before 50 pages, so I luckily do not have to count this among my DNFs. So I'm still 0 DNFs on the year, and I actually have finished 2 books now. I read The Buried and the Bound, and then I just finished Love and Other Conspiracies, which was fantastic. I woke up at 4:45 this morning because I had a nightmare. Don't remember what it was, but after I have a nightmare, I generally just don't go back to sleep. I just stay up and watch things. So I put on, so my husband left at like 5:20 is when he got up this morning. So I just put on Vanderpump season 3. That's what I'm on right now. I have seen the whole thing multiple times. I'm on my like 5th rewatch of the show just because it's easy to put it on the background and read and do other things. So I put that on, and then I just read Love and Other Conspiracies and tried listening to this, and yeah, I got 45 pages in. We're DNFing it. So we are 2 books down now, and we are moving on to the next one. Now I'm like a little more nervous. I'm a little more nervous because it went really well at first, so I was really hype. And then the second book was a DNF, so now I'm like, am I excited? Am I excited about this? Because I don't feel very excited right now. So let's pick another one. That hurt. I just whacked my elbow against this. Okay, let's go for vibes. What feels like a good vibe? I feel like this one is sticking out to me. I feel like this is hard to pick. Like, this is really difficult to pick these books. This one feels pretty good. Ooh, this one also feels pretty good. This one feels way heavier. It's smaller, but it feels heavier. Which one? This one's cold. Like, this one literally feels cold. We're gonna go with this one because that's weird. Or is that like a bad sign that it feels cold? I don't know. Okay, this, I again don't know which way is the correct way. I'm so nervous. I'm so nervous. What is this? What is this? Oh, okay. I was like, what is this book? Okay, so we have Revel. This is similar to The Depths, where I just have no expectations of. I am happy that it is a fantasy book. What is this about? This looks like a circus kind of book, which could be interesting. It's not like super piquing my interest, but we're gonna try it. We're gonna try it, and hopefully it goes better than The Depths, because that was a bummer. That was a real bummer. So hopefully this one goes better. It is a little bit chunkier. Now I'm like wishing that I had picked the other one. Well, I wonder what the other one was. Where did I put the other one? This was the other one. Should I unwrap it? I want to unwrap it. We're going to unwrap it and just see what this one is. I'm breaking rules already. But if this one is like more interesting, I'll probably go with this one and then read Revel next. As I'm not rewrapping any of these. This is definitely the back. Is it the back? Nope, that was the back. Midnight Strikes. I feel like this is the exact same feeling as Revel. So I picked basically two of the same book. That's literally what just happened. So I don't know which one of these sounds better. Okay, we're gonna go figure out which one of these sounds better, because this one doesn't even have a synopsis with it. Midnight Strikes. I don't know. We're gonna go figure this out, and I'll read one of them. Right, it is the next day, I think. No, it might be 2 days from when I picked the next book, or books, I guess, because I did pick two because I was feeling weird the other night. I am literally concurrently working on this video and the read all of your book boxes of December 2020, 2024. That was a struggle. And I am almost finished with that video. I've got 2 books for that left, but I just like don't want to read them. So I keep working on this instead, even though that one like has to come out, and I am putting that one off, and it's frustrating. And it's mostly because the books are just massive. They are so big. And it's a lot easier to get Kindle books for older books. So I have the Kindle of Revel. It might be Revel. That would kind of make sense because that means like party. I don't know, but then like Revel is like Caraval. Doesn't sound anything like it. I thought it would in my head. Anyway, we're gonna go with, what am I gonna say most? Revel. I feel like I'm gonna say Revel, but it definitely could be just Revel. This is awesome. This is awesome. We are 25% into the book. It feels like I'm so much farther. Like it feels like I'm so much farther for all the stuff that has already happened in this book. This is crazy that I'm only this far into this book. What? This is 100 pages into this book. This is a huge book. Yeah, it's like 450 pages. That's crazy. So this is literally, I had no idea when I picked this one up. This is literally Moulin Rouge. I forgot because like now I remember. Now I remember when I got it, I read the thing and it was like, this is a Moulin Rouge inspired book. This is not just Moulin Rouge inspired. This is like play by play, except for the thing that's going on behind the scenes with the female lead, if you've seen Moulin Rouge. It's very different than what's going on here, obviously, because they replace a lot of stuff like that with magic related things. And I also did check the ending because we all know how Moulin Rouge ends, and I was not looking for that ending, and I don't think it ends that way, at least as far as I saw. Oh, yes, I'm having a fantastic time with this. We have 2 points of view, which is awesome. Our main character, Lux, I was trying to remember, Lux, and then our other main character, Jameson, and I mean, it literally is Moulin Rouge. I don't have to tell you anything. It is the plot of Moulin Rouge plus magic, and it's taking place in like the 1920s Prohibition era, which I think is really cool. So Lux is part of a night show circus kind of thing. And then you have Jameson, who literally just got into town, and that is the first thing that he did. There's also a lot more side characters, which I appreciate. The side characters are Jameson has 2 friends. There's also a bit of a Romeo and Juliet aspect to it, but not really. It's kind of like a backstory thing because, again, she meets, like in Moulin Rouge, she meets this wealthy person and she needs money for her family, because in this case, the family needs money for alcohol because Prohibition is making it difficult to get alcohol, and they don't have the money to purchase the alcohol from bootleggers, so she has to make a deal with the wealthy guy who wants her help being on his arm and fake dating almost, so that he can become mayor. And there's like the Romeo and Juliet thing is the rich guy's family and her family do not like each other. They hate each other, so they're not loving this. So you've got a lot of complicated dynamics in here that are at least different than Moulin Rouge. So it's staying like fresh and different at least, because again, if you were just rereading the whole movie, that would be kind of annoying. But it is very, very very close to what the movie is. So I'm enjoying this. Again, thought I was a lot farther than this, but I'm just gonna sit down and continue reading this because I'm having a really, really good time. And then after we finish this one up, we'll be trying Midnight Strikes, and then we may stop depending on how many I've read, because that will be what, 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe we'll do one more depending on how that one goes. Okay, it is like 2 in the morning. It's 2 in the morning, and this has been such a roller coaster ride of a day relating to books, because I have officially finished Revel. I think it's probably Revel. I really need to like figure out how this is said before the end of this video, but I have finished this. This was an interesting roller coaster ride. Like I said, I actually filmed a whole clip about DNFing this at 43%. Yeah, and then I didn't feel right about it, so I backtracked and ended up reading the rest of the day and finishing it today. And I am gonna give it a 3 stars. So I actually do stand behind me DNFing this. Like, I'm glad I finished it. Great, I have a book that I finished, but it didn't do what I was hoping it would do. And for a minute I thought, I was like, oh, I was wrong. I definitely was in the right not DNFing this and changing my mind. And then I didn't end up liking the ending. So for me, it just ends up as a 3 star, and I could have not read it or read it, and I feel the same. So I do wish that I had kind of DNF'd it and just moved on. But at the same time, I am kind of glad I finished it. So it's just this weird feeling. Could have gone either way and not been an issue, but yeah. So yeah, this one was weird because I did DNF it originally at 43%, because after that initial update that I gave you guys, the book slowed down so much. Like, the pacing got so rough. Like, it was so slow and boring, and I was like, I was having a hard time paying attention. I kept putting the book down. I just did not want to read it anymore, and I was frustrated with it because it felt like it didn't know what it was trying to do. So I just kept picking it up and like forcing myself to read a chapter and then putting it back down and then forcing myself to pick it back up, and that is never a good thing. So I ended up going on camera and saying I was DNFing it at about 43%. And then I started Midnight Strikes, and I just like wasn't feeling it, and I kept thinking about this book, and I was like, I don't hate it. I feel like I should just try to continue it. And so I did, and like I said, ended up being a 3 star. So this had, again, a pacing problem, but then it got really good. It actually got really, really good from about like the 300, 250 to 400 page mark. That chunk was so good. I was really impressed with the pacing and the writing and the character development and everything that was going on. But I really didn't like the end. The end was very abrupt for what was going on, and like, I feel like it set these challenges that were so impossible to overcome, and then they were just overcome like suddenly, and some stuff happened with one of the side couples that I did not like. Nothing was resolved with our side couples. Like, to me, what I was more invested in were the 3 side relationships, and not 8. Well, one of them was kind of resolved, but 2 of them were kind of just like left. Like, something bad happened in one, and then the other one, like, no one talked about it afterwards, and I was like, what is going on? Like, what? It felt like it was supposed to have a second book for the side characters alone, or like a novella or something to go along with the end of this book to give us a like idea of what happened to these side characters. It was so strange how this book ended. And again, very anticlimactic for the setup of this. It's again, it's like the author got to the end and was like, I'm not exactly sure how to end this. And so they just ended it. So I did not like the ending. I do not think the ending was plotted out well. I don't think it was written well. My other major gripe for this, and why one of the big reasons I originally DNF'd it at 43%, is the time travel and the magic system is interesting, but it's not done very well. So this is a situation where time travel is a huge deal in this book, like a massive deal in this book. And it's just, it's a little too... It just doesn't make sense. Like, when you really go through the book, there's a lot of plot holes. There's a lot of chances for stuff to get, like, wonky. And if you say, like, there's just a lot of plot holes. It's just really a lot of plot holes. You can say, oh, but they could have done this easily, and that would have changed the whole book. It's just that kind of situation where it was, like, the author really wanted to do time travel, but didn't know how to do it and didn't research it enough or like really sit there and think about it. So that's the problem with time travel and why I don't like it in books. I think this was a good attempt at it, but unfortunately it failed when it came to that. So it's getting a 3-star because the time travel, the magic system was very wonky how it worked, and the rules seem to change sometimes compared to how they were at the beginning of the book versus the end of the book. And then the ending of the book, the plot holes, the magic system, and the side characters not being resolved at the end either. So there's a lot of reasons. I am giving it a 3-star. I generally enjoyed my time, but I don't think I'm keeping this on. I'm gonna have to look at it, but I don't think I enjoyed my time enough with this one that I will think about it that much after this. So I think this might be one that I may hold on to for like a month or two and end up getting rid of. So I'm undecided about if I'm keeping it or not, but it's kind of just it's just I wish I had just stuck with my DNF because I feel like I wasted the rest of the day when I could have been reading something else or doing other things. And I didn't get like a super enjoyable book out of this, which was kind of the point. Like, this is a purge video for a reason. So I should have just purged it and gone with my gut. And I did not. I questioned myself and I was right the first time. So interesting book. I think there's a lot of people out there who will enjoy it, but for me, it was just mid. So we are now officially moving on to Midnight Strikes because I tried earlier. I don't have high hopes for this based on what I've read already, but I was distracted by thinking about the other book. So now that that is kind of out of the way, hopefully we can start this and actually kind of enjoy it and get into it. So let's start Midnight Strikes. The biggest problem with this and why I feel like I'm going to come on here and update not enjoying it is this has time loop in it. This has a giant time loop in it, and I don't like time loops. It's the same situation with time travel. At least time travel can be interesting. For me, time loops are so boring. I get so bored, and I hate repetitive things in books. So we're going to see. Hopefully this is done well. I'm questioning that. I'm worried. I'm very worried. So we're going to see, but I do not have high hopes because of the time loop situation in this. Okay, I'm looking a little ratty because I just exercised. And then I started this because I was like, oh, let's start something new. And I'm in a good mood because I just exercised and I did something productive, which is amazing. Even though I really, really didn't want to. This is a time loop book. Why did nobody tell me this? Well, I'm blaming you guys, but it's literally me who did not look this up. I hate time loops. I hate them. 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 The only time loop anything that I've enjoyed is Groundhog Day. That's a classic. That's a classic movie. I love that movie. Everything else, I cannot stand time loops. I don't think they're fun. I think they're so repetitive. I do not enjoy time loops. I never have. I never will. Maybe there's a book out there that does it super, super well, but as of right now, no. And I did try it. And I already just wasn't vibing with the story or the writing or anything. So I was not going to put myself through a time loop. So I'm sorry if you really want me to read this, but all I have to say is that I don't enjoy time loop, so I'm not going to continue reading this. That's unfortunate because the funny thing is, if I had actually paid attention to what this book was about, which is kind of the point of 2025 is paying attention to these books, I probably wouldn't have gotten it because I would have known it was a time loop and I would have been like, no, not interested at all. So that's another one that is a DNF, but this is like a DNF at like 25 pages, 34. Where was I at? Yeah, I was about like 40 pages, so not feeling it. But yeah, luckily this doesn't have to go in my wrap up. More books that I DNF before 50 pages, the happier I am, just because I don't have to talk about them in my wrap up and be sad about them. Because once this video is done, I can just be done with these books that I DNF'd under 50 pages, but anything over 50 pages, which is what I prefer to read, is I prefer to read 100 to 150 to really get an idea of the book before I DNF. Those I have to talk about as DNFs in my wrap up. So luckily, don't have to talk about this one, but it is very obvious. It's a time loop. I really don't like time loops or time travel or anything that relates to that. So anyway, that means it's time to pick another book. Okay, we are down to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Can I fit these all on one shelf? No, I cannot yet. That's kind of like my hope, is to fit them all on one shelf. Because that leaves just 3 down here. So I feel like we should just read the ones that are down here. I know that Foul Days and Serpent on the Wings of Night are both smaller hardbacks. But I know that the adult books generally are taller, and I feel like I'll have a better like luck with the taller ones or with adult books maybe because I've been reading a lot of young adult. Ones, so maybe I should try and go for an adult one, which it's funny because both Valdez and Serpent and Wings and I are both adult. I don't know. Okay, I think oh, I hate this. Is stressful. I shouldn't have done this. I shouldn't have done this. This is not fun. I don't know how is it Meg with Books does this? I don't know how she does this for a whole year. I don't understand because this like literally is like giving me hives. So let's go with Eeny Meeny Miny Mo, catch a tiger by the toe. If you hollers, let them go. Eeny Meeny Miny Mo. Okay. Kind of heavy. Kind of heavy. I assume this is the way it goes. I should have like wrapped these in a way that I could tell which was the front. Oh. Okay. Yes. Okay. Yes. I really wanted this. Okay. I think I'm gonna love this one. Okay. I have heard nothing but amazing things about this. I am so excited about this book. I think this is going to be an emotional roller coaster. This one also is absolutely gorgeous. I love the edges. I think they're so cool. So yes, at the end of the River Styx, I am nervous about this because I do tend to not love Greek retellings or any type of mythological retellings. I just don't like them. I don't know what it is. I don't like them, even though I love mythology in general. Like I used to read mythology stuff all the time. So I don't know why I don't like it in fiction. I don't know what it is, but I think this is going to be separated enough from that I'm going to enjoy it. This is definitely a lot of grief. So I don't know about that now. Now I'm looking at it and I'm like, I don't like grief stories. But at the same time, this sounds really good. Okay, we're gonna read At the End of the River Styx. I think this could be a winner. I'm nervous, but I think this could be a winner. So we're gonna go probably, I might take a break tonight. I might actually switch to reading a cutesy rom-com kind of book just to give my brain a little bit of a rest before going into something like this, just because I've DNF'd a lot of stuff lately. Because I was not only working on this, I was also finishing up my reading all of my December 2024 book boxes. I have finished that vlog, and that was honestly a major bummer. That's coming out way before this one is, but that was super depressing reading those books and attempting those books, and 3 of them being DNFs out of the 5. That was honestly terrible. I think I need a little bit of a break from all the fantasy and stuff, and this is going to be a little bit of fantasy, but I just think I need something light and fluffy to read. So I think I'm going to switch to Dungeons and Drama for the night and maybe tomorrow, and then we'll get back to this. Maybe I'll read like the first chapter and just see if it hooks me. But yeah, this is kind of what I wanted to pick. I wanted to pick something a little more current than what I was picking. So we're going to attempt to read At the End of the River Styx. Okay, it is Thursday. No, it's Wednesday. It's Wednesday afternoon, night. It is 6 o'clock. It is Wednesday night. I've just had a long day. And I haven't done that much, especially for this video. Like after we picked the end of the River Styx, At the End of the River Styx, after we picked this, I just like haven't done that much of this video because I wasn't feeling reading this. So I ended up picking up the Ornithologist's Field Guide to Love, which sucked. That one actually was really sad because I started off thinking it was going to be a 5-star, potentially favorite of the year kind of thing. It was so good, and I loved the humor. I thought it was so funny. The problem is with that type of humor, it got less funny the more the jokes are made, and it was like a super repetitive book. So I was really sad because it had so much, like, I feel like I would have loved it if it was only like 200 pages, and I feel like it didn't need to be longer than that. Like the book was so beyond repetitive that it didn't need to be more than 200 pages, and it was like 360 pages. So by the time I got to page like 250, I was so checked out of that book, but I refused to DNF it because I did enjoy the beginning. So I was kind of hoping that like something would happen and I would start really loving it again, and that did not happen, so that was very upsetting. But yeah, I finally have an update for this video, and we finally started At the End of the River Styx. I cannot remember the name of this book, but I did take the dust jacket off because with these square spines, the dust jackets come off like super easily while you're reading them. I just get annoyed, so I am reading it without the dust jacket on. I might put it in a book jacket because I don't want the foil to actually rub off. I was getting nervous about that. But yeah, also I am in the process of taking my gel nails off which is going to take a very long time. I never get my nails done, but two of my nails broke. My nails grow so fast, and because of like the gel stuff, it kind of made them a little brittle, so they got really long and then they broke, and then it ripped some of the gel off, so you can see like they just look, and you can tell like the whatever, you can tell how fast they've grown. So there's just a lot of space between my finger and the gel. So like there's a lot of space on the nail that is now growing in. So it looks terrible. So anyway, I'm in the process of removing them, and it is a nightmare. I hate it. Yes, I'm doing the soak in acetone and stuff. I've done this before. It's just, this one was tough. This one's tough. The past two that I've gotten have not been this hard. It has been significantly more difficult to scrape off and get rid of compared to the other two times I've had this done. So that is annoying. But yeah, so I am in the process of doing that. So I can't wait for these to be off my nails, but my nails are like ruined. That's why I don't get my nails done, is I don't like how they just feel gross afterwards. So anyway, that's kind of what I'm doing today, is reading this and taking off my gel nails, and I was also working on some other stuff. I was trying to remember what I did today. I went to the doctor this morning and I had to run and get new ink. My printer decided to run out of ink, which I absolutely love when it does that. Anyway, the end of the River Styx. I am a solid 78 pages into the book, so we just started it. I'm really enjoying this. This is nerve-wracking though, because this is a very heavily depression focused kind of book, and we're following two different main characters. One of our main characters, Bastian, he was in some sort of accident that left him super scarred, and his brother was totally fine, his twin brother, but it killed his mom. And he has a lot of guilt and survivor's guilt and just depression in general from his mother's death. And then you have, on the other hand, and he ends up buying this bookstore, which I guess he calls Fox Books because that's what it says on the front. We don't know yet in the story, but he bought this like super rundown old bookstore. It's rundown, and he's kind of in the process of figuring it out, but at the same time he's having these nightmares, and he is seeing this kid who's his age, and that takes us to our other storyline, and I think it's Zan, I think is his name, Zan. And Zan is our other main character, who actually works for the ferryman on the River Styx, and is the person who kind of ferries the souls over to the ferryman. And I really like this story. The writing is phenomenal. The writing is so good. It's so good. I love that. I love finding a book that just has really, really good writing. Even if like the content turns out to be not that great, I love that the writing is good. Owlcrate really traumatized me, guys. Like, they really traumatized me with their picks, to the point where like, dang, like any book that has good writing is just like a breath of fresh air. So anyway, yeah, we're following that perspective. And so I will say my one issue with this book is Zan's perspective is a little bit confusing. I am having a bit of a hard time figuring out exactly like what's going on in his storyline. They didn't explain it particularly well, like what he's doing, because you'll see him like he like ferries people over by going into their memories, but then when they fully die, like it leaves a memory behind that is frozen in time, and he can like live in them and like take stuff from them. And I'm not really sure exactly how that works, because so that's a little bit confusing, and I kind of wish we would talk about that a little bit more. I assume Bastian and Zan are going to end up talking a lot more, so I'm hoping that Zan kind of like explains it to him, therefore explaining it to me. because right now I am quite a bit confused, but I am liking the side characters. I am liking the drama with the family between him and his brother. It's very realistic type of stuff when a person is going through grief. Some people have a easier time understanding the grief than others, and a lot of times family members, the ones closest to you, are the ones who have the hardest time understanding, because they know you the best and they just kind of want you to be better. So I love that aspect of this, and it's just, whew, it's tough. It's tough. So I am enjoying it. I am nervous because normally I'm not like the biggest fan of grief stories, but I can really love them. So it just depends how it's done. But as of right now, I am very much enjoying it. I am very like interested to see what's going on, because there's some things that are happening. So yeah, that's kind of what we're doing right now. So I'm going to continue reading this, and I am again catching up on BookTube still. And yeah, I think this is going to be the last book of the video, because I think we've gotten through 5 books and I'm probably finishing this one. So 3 finished, 2 DNFs. I think we'll stop there. That way I can kind of work on some other things. Okay, I'm here with an update. I am about 160 pages into this book now, and I am gonna DNF it. I feel like that is such a hard swing to a different direction based on the first clip about this book, but I feel like that's kind of the point of the Purge videos is, I mean, at any point, these books just may suddenly not be for me. And I'm going to stick with the fact that this has fantastic writing. I would recommend this, people, but it's going to be for a very specific group of people, and those people are the type of people who really love the exploration of grief. And unfortunately, I'm not one of those people. I can really enjoy it, and I did enjoy it for the first, where did I update you? Like a 60 pages, 60, 80 pages? Problem is, that is the only thing that is happening. There is nothing else that's happening. The mystery about like there's a small mystery about something relating to him and why he's able to see the river Styx, and I'm not interested in that mystery anymore, really. And to be honest, I'm not a big fan of the main character. Like, I get it. And okay, so this is one of my issues with the exploration of grief, is when the characters are so depressed to the point that they are taking their misery out on other characters, especially their friends that are just kind of there for them. But then you also have the characters who are being too like, get out of your shell, come do things with us. And that's great to a point, but sometimes you just need to sit down with somebody who is depressed and just talk to them and just be there for them, and don't try and force them to do things, because that is not a good way to get them out of their depression. It's just being there can be enough sometimes. So I feel like we had a mix of the friendship group not understanding, and our main character was legitimately just mean to them. Like, they went to a trivia night and he purposely gave them the wrong answer so they would leave him alone. And I was like, that's just so rude. That's so nasty. I just don't like any of that. But the problem is, it's very realistic. Like, it's very realistic to how depression works and how the brain can just turn against you and turn you into this person who can be very unpleasant to be around. I've been there. I've been that person. Not to this extent. I mostly just stayed to myself. But I have wanted to lash out when I was in a ton of pain and depressed. So I get it, but I really don't want to read about it. Like, it's kind of bringing me back to like being in that vibe, and I do not need to be there. I really don't need to be there because I'm in a decent headspace the past couple of months. I have some really bad days, but generally I've had better days, so I don't need to be back there. So personally, for me, I do not want to continue in this kind of headspace that we're in. I do think this is going to be for people who like grief stories and exploring that. So I would actually recommend this to that group of people. And it has really, really good writing. But for me personally, it is going to be a DNF at about, what did I say? 160 pages, about 160 pages. Dang, I was really hoping to be done this video. I was hoping that was going to be like a 5-star or a 4 or 5-star. And then I was going to be able to be done this video, because that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 books with 3 of them read, 2 DNF'd. But now I feel like I want to keep going until we find a 3rd book read. So unfortunately, we're back to the stacks. Although kind of we did want to finish this. Like, maybe instead we'll just do, again, depending if we read a full book, maybe we'll just like finish this shelf off, right? Because yeah, this is a full shelf. I think I can probably stick one more up here. Nope, that won't fit. This one's skinnier, kind of. Oh, nope, that won't fit. I kind of ripped this one. So I feel like we're just kind of stuck reading these two so that we finish one of the shelves off, and maybe we'll do the same. See, I think this is going to be 3 episodes. I think this is going to end up being 3 episodes depending on how the purges go, because if I'm just purging stuff, they go a lot faster. But what do we have? We have 5 in this video so far. We're at least going to have a 6th, probably a 7th, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 up here, so yeah, I think it's going to be this episode, 1 with 7, and then 1 with 6. I think that's a good idea. Again, depending on how much we purge, because if I just like purge these next 2 books really quickly, then we'll probably just keep going, because it is only the 8th of January, so I have literally the rest of the month to finish this up, because I'm trying to do just one of these a month, so we're in a good space right now. So let's go ahead. I just didn't want to read any more like forced books. I was going to switch over to just reading like 5-star predictions, because my reading month has been really bad already. and it's been only 8 days. I've already read 5 books, and I have like 1 4-star, 2, no, I did read one that I really, really liked, but it's been like eclipsed by all the other things that I haven't liked. So that is unfortunate. But yeah, let's read one of these. We've been doing all short ones, so let's go with the taller one. Please let this, please. Good juju, good things. Please be something that I'm gonna enjoy, and please be on Kindle. I feel like that's gonna make it easier for me to read this because my brain is so all over the place right now. The Kindle does help me focus a little bit more than physically reading because I can read and like move around, and because I'm uncomfortable all the time. So reading a physical book sometimes is annoying. So please be on Kindle. Please let me easily be able to get you on Kindle, or just be a good book. Because if you're a good book, I don't need it on Kindle. Okay. We have no idea so far. Black cover. This is backwards, isn't it? Yeah, this is gonna be backwards. I think I'm gonna laugh when it's not. But I wasn't seeing anything. Oh, Sin on Our Bones, right? Oh, it was. So I had it right the first time, of course. The Sins on Their Bones by Laura R. Samotin. I don't know anything about this book. I don't know about that. I don't really like stuff that takes place during like wartime things. I'm not like the biggest fan of that. Yeah, I'm a little concerned about this one. We're gonna try it out, but I'm a little worried about this one. So we're gonna go try out The Sins on Their Bones. This isn't a love triangle, right? Because it says 2 estranged husbands and a daring spy master. Like, this is not gonna be a big love triangle, is it? It looks like it might. Okay, we're gonna have to check that out, because if that's it, that's immediately gonna be a not reading it, even because I don't do anything that's more than 2 people in a relationship. I just personally don't enjoy reading it. I don't care what people do in their real lives. That is not my business. You can do whatever you want as long as it's not hurting anybody. But I personally do not like reading about it just because I don't enjoy it. Yeah, let's go check this one out. I'm gonna do a little research about this one and then hopefully read it and come back with an update. But yeah, I'm a little sus about this one. This is why I love The Purge sometimes, because then it's books like this that I read less than 50 pages and I'm like, no, if I had known what this is about, this is the reason for these Purge videos, because I'm learning, like, oh, I probably should have checked what this book was about before I bought it. Then I could have skipped buying it. And yeah, this just isn't the type of book for me. No, it is not polyamory, which I was happy to hear about for me personally, but it does something else that I don't like, which is basically what I read and then what I then went and read about, because I was getting like bad vibes, is this is following our kind of 2 main characters, mostly our main character, and yes, he is estranged from his husband, who turns out to be this awful person, but most of the book is them like still loving each other and pining for each other, but the other guy is just like really bad. So I just really don't want to read about that for like the entire book. I don't really even want to read about it for like a third of the book. So I'm just not into that. I'm not into that and learning about the heartbreak, and it's just, that does not sound fun to me. I can see why other people would like this. It is a dark romantasy, a dark fantasy. It's not really my vibes. It's not my vibes. This would have been something that I should have skipped. If I was getting it currently, I would have skipped this book. So kind of mad at myself that I did not know what this was about. But that is on me. That is on me for not paying attention and just getting whatever came to my door. So this is a purge. This is a very obvious purge. Okay, so that was super fast. That was super, I'm trying to make sure this is even, because I did drop my new thing today. And it, yeah, I thought I broke it. I didn't, but it is a little wonky, so I'm making sure it's straight. So anyway, last book on this shelf. I'm so annoyed. I'm so annoyed because it seems like it could have been good, but when you're saying dark fantasy, I generally don't enjoy dark fantasies. That's just not my vibe. It was written well. I will say that. If you are looking for a dark romantasy that's got, I mean, some, like, there's a lot of abuse in the book, like a lot, and it is like on page. I would definitely look up trigger warnings for that one, but I would definitely check it out because it actually is written pretty well. Okay, so we have a smaller, kind of chunky hardback. And I'm hoping we have some black or dark blue sprayed edges. What is this one? Nope, this is... Oh, To Kill a Shadow. Okay. This one is the one that was in bookstores that had like the pretty cover too, wasn't it? Oh, this one's pre-tabbed. I was gonna read this with the Owlcrate along thing that they were doing. They do readathons for all their books, and I apparently pre-tabbed it to actually, you know, participate in the readathon, and then it didn't happen. Okay, this is more classic fantasy, I guess. Yeah, I don't know that much about this one. I just know it had a really pretty cover, and I feel like I looked into this and this seemed interesting. I'm gonna say it's probably a generic fantasy book. I can't tell what this book is about. Like, I don't like I'm reading this. I don't understand really what this book is about. I do like that it's winter. It's winter themed. That's cool, and I love that artwork. I don't know what this is about. We have two main characters, Jude, who is the Hand of Death and is going to lead the Knights of the Eternal Star into a land filled with nightmares and certain demise. He sees a young woman. Outcast Kiara Frey sees him, a leader, a man who knows how to survive, someone like her, but wanting him as treacherous as the shadows themselves and just as seductive. Uh-oh. Yeah, I don't know about that. If you're already talking about seductive things in the synopsis, I don't know about that. We're gonna go try this one too. And I have things tabbed already, so that's kind of cool. I don't have high hopes based on that. I don't have high hopes based on that because I don't love things that are like immediate attraction. I just don't love it because it normally just jumps into the romance way too fast without building stories. So yeah, let's go try this one out. But now I'm really nervous. Okay, I have a little bit of an update. I'm so tired. I just went for a run for the first time in 3 years because I haven't run ever since I hurt my back. And since my back never got unhurt, I haven't run. Like, I've done other exercising and stuff, and I've gotten back to doing like at home exercising things. So I've been doing that for about 2 weeks, but then I was like, I really want to get back to running. I used to be big on running. I hate it. I hate running, but I still used to run because it used to make me feel good. So today's the first time I ran outside in 3 years. And I know a lot of you are like, oh my God, it's like freezing outside. Yes, it is 28 degrees outside. But because of my nerve pain stuff and just generally, like even in the past, I noticed when I was super healthy, running outside in the summer I hate it so much more. I hate it so much more. I have always been a cold person runner. Like, the colder it is, the happier I am when I'm running. It's definitely still harder. It is harder, but my mental state is significantly better outside running in the cold than it is outside running in the heat or any type of weather that's not cold. I did that, and it was just as miserable as I remember. It was just as miserable as I remember, but I listened to some good music, and I ran about off and on for a mile, which is, I did way better, to be honest, than I thought I did. I'm sure it's probably the past 2 weeks of doing that exercising instead of just jumping right into running. And that, I think, definitely prepped me to actually run today because, like I said, it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. Because normally when I start running up again, I just go out and run, and then I'm like, hey, hey. But it wasn't that bad, okay? It was still not great. I'm still wheezing, but it wasn't that bad. But anyway, I have an update on what I think will be our last book. I think I'm going to call it on this book just because I am 118 pages, I think, into this one. Yeah, 118 pages into this one. And it is definitely your romantasy book. Like, it is definitely romance, kind of. Like, it's weird. This is a weird one. So I'm enjoying it. I actually do like their writing. I just do think that they could have done more with the story. I feel like this does unfortunately have a bit of lazy writing going on with this. Like, they didn't really want to write a fantasy book, and they just wanted to write a romance a little bit. So this is following our main character Kiara, I think, but she goes by Kai, and it's following our other main character Jude. So I'm pretty sure I thought this was a sapphic romance, but it's not. Jude is a male commanding officer in the king's military, and so what's going on with this world is Kiara's from this small village, and I think it said like every year or something, the Knights of the King go and they collect all of the eligible one per family, I think, boys from families. It can be a girl, but they haven't ever done that before. And they come around, collect all of them, and then they get trained and they go into this mist. So apparently it's been 50 years, this is the 50th year, but this mist like descended and the sun goddess disappeared. And if you go into this mist, it kills everybody, basically. No one comes back. The only person who's come back is Jude, our other main character. And so it's following Jude as he is trying to train these kids, and he is dealing with feelings, obviously, for Kai, and it's Kiara or Kai dealing with being chosen for this regimen and her kind of training and making friends and figuring out like her point in life and stuff like that. So 118 pages in. I wanted to wait a little bit longer because I feel like for both Revel and At the End of the River Styx, I like updated at 50 pages. I was like, oh my god, that's so good, blah, blah, blah. And then like another 50 pages later, I was like, I did finish Revel, which again, I feel like I didn't have to because it didn't change my opinion, anything of it. But yeah, so I wanted to wait a little bit longer to make sure I actually felt that way about this. So I am enjoying this. I do like the writing. It is compulsively readable. I do think there is a bit of lazy writing when it comes to fight scenes. So like right now we're supposed to be in this like big training montage of where Jude and the other commanding officers are supposed to be training these. And that's the other problem I have is they keep referring to them as like children, and Jude is supposed to be like 18, I think, and Kai is supposed to be, or I guess Kai is 18, so Jude I think is like 20 because she said he looks a year or two older, which is like a little bit giving me an ick because he feels so much older than her just based on like life experiences and just how he acts. He just feels so much older than her. Although I did get a kick out of something where he was acting like a teenage boy. He gave her a gift without like left it on her bunk, and he's like hiding around a corner like watching to make sure she got it, and I was like, you're a teenage boy. Like, you are a teenage boy. So I did like that. It did bring his age a little bit down there, but just generally how they speak is just, he just seems so much older. So it is giving me like a little bit of a feeling. So I'm hoping that goes away the more I read the book. And like I said, there's a little bit of lazy writing because there's supposed to be montage scenes of like fighting and training, and we haven't done any of that. Like there's like time passing, but it's hard to tell that time passing. It feels like there's only been like 2 days that have passed, but I think it's been like a couple months. And it doesn't feel like that because we're not doing any of these training montages. We just start a chapter and it's like, we spent the last week training, we spent the last week doing this, but they're not showing any of it. Like, we finally got some sort of like trial for the first time in this book, and it was really, really good. So like the author can write them. It's like she doesn't want to write any type of fight scenes or any type of action sequences. And I'm really sad because that's what this is missing, is it's missing those action sequences. And most of the book is just kind of telling you and not showing you things. So it's telling you they went on montages. Our main character Jude is already obsessed with Kai, but it's like more like he's just telling us he's really obsessed with her, and they have these really long conversations, and that's what most of the book is. It's just like them kind of sitting around talking to each other half the time, and it's like, I want action, like I want stuff to be happening. I just want more from this book right now because there's so much promise in this book. So I'm hoping the farther we get into this, because it feels like she's just rushing through the beginning to get to them going to the mist, and then hopefully we do have action sequences and fight sequences and stuff like that, because that's what I like in my fantasy books, is that type of stuff. So I am enjoying it. I just wish there was a little bit more of what I kind of expect from a fantasy book like this. So hopefully we'll get more into that. But so far it is a very quick read. Like, I think I read 118 pages yesterday, and I've been in a bit of a reading slump. So that was nice that this was like, oh, I like really want to read this. So that was really, really nice. And I think I'm just going to continue reading it today leisurely. I'm not going to force myself to read quickly, which is why I think this is going to be the last book. And then I'm going to call it, because I think after I read this, I'm going to switch over to, I think I need to just like switch it up a little bit, and I think I might do a mystery thriller vlog, because I like, my channel was started with mainly fantasy and mystery, and I feel like last year was just such a bummer when it came to mystery thrillers. I just wasn't interested in a lot of them. I do have some to catch up on, and I have a new one, so I feel like that's what I want to do after this, and I feel like that'll be a good switch up from all the fantasy I've been reading. So anyway, yeah, enjoying it. Not sure where I'm gonna land with this one yet, because of, I wish it just had more stuff in it. So we're gonna continue reading this. I am sad because I do like the original cover better. So if I do end up liking this, I probably will buy the original cover, because I do like those a lot better than this one, sadly. But yeah, so we're gonna continue reading To Kill a Shadow. It is entertaining. Nothing to write home about, but it is entertaining. Well, we cannot say that this Owlcrate video is not a purge video because I am DNFing To Kill a Shadow at 316 pages. It is not the worst DNF I've ever had. That is not the longest DNF I've had. This one is 425 pages and I DNF'd it at 316 because I could not do it anymore. I could not do it. This got so weird. This got so strange. It did that thing where it like kind of gives you a plot and then it just like goes crazy. It's just like, I don't know how to write the ending, so let's just go bonkers. And that's literally what this did. I don't even know where to like start talking about this book. I'm so glad because about halfway through this book, I actually almost bought the second book. Like I was ready to buy the second book. And then once I got past that halfway mark, I was like, oh no, this isn't good. This actually is really bad. This book went from like a 4-star to like a 3-star about halfway through the book, and then it's kind of wound up at a 1-star, but I'm DNFing it, so I'm not giving it a rating on like Goodreads or anything. But in my heart, this is like we'll give it a 2-star. This is like a 2-star. This is wild. So the reasons that I DNF'd this is it got super weird. It got really, really weird. The romance that I was talking about, it never got better. It actually felt like it got worse. Like he felt like a 30-year-old hitting on a 16-year-old. Like that is what the whole book felt like. It was so uncomfortable. Like, no. Like having the main character be a commander and the girl he picks is an 18-year-old girl from like a small time village, it like did not work with the characterization. Him being only 19, how he acts, it is not a 19-year-old. He acts like a 28 to 30-year-old man, and she literally acts like a child. So that just got like worse. It is very insta-love, but like sometimes you can turn insta-love into something good. It didn't with this. There was never any chemistry between the characters, unfortunately. But yeah, the romance was just like super weird in this. It did not work. The plot went absolutely bonkers. That didn't work. The pacing got so much worse. Like the beginning of the book was really, really fast paced to the point where I wanted the beginning to slow down to actually give us some like background of what was going on, give us some montage fight scenes, stuff like that. And then once we got to the woods, it just slowed down so much that I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so bored. And then half the characters just like disappeared for the rest of the book. Like it built up this like friendship and camaraderie, and then it's like the author was like, I want the romance to be the point, so let's make everybody disappear. So literally the characters disappeared. Like there was a moment, there was like a thing that happened and all the characters disappeared until the end of the book, except for our main character and love interest. So weird. That was such a weird way to do that, to like separate them and like give them their own time. It was so strange. I've never seen a book actually do that before, where it was just like, go. The rest of the characters can just go somewhere else for a little bit. So strange. And then the whole ending of this book was just absolutely bizarre. I did skim the ending and it was so bizarre. Like it went to the bizarre place that I was hoping it wouldn't, but why I DNF'd it, because I thought it was going in a weird direction, and it definitely went in a weird direction. This is a bad book. Like this is actually a bad book, and I'm really, really sad about it because I was really excited about this one. I thought this was going to be like a 4-star read, and I would have at least 2 4-stars in here and a 3-star, and I was so excited. Instead, I DNF'd a book at 316 pages, which is wild. I spent so much time reading this book. I'm so mad. I could have been reading something else. Instead, I read this. I'm so annoyed. I'm so annoyed. And that is why we are ending the first Owlcrate purge video here, because I can't do this right now. I feel like these videos end when I get mad. Like when I get really mad, these videos end. So that leaves us with, I think, what did I say, like 13 books, so probably split up into 2 different videos. So this one is going to come out at the end of January, and then probably the next one will come out February, and then the last one March, unless they're just like all bad and I just whip through them all. But we're hoping that is not the case. We're hoping that is definitely not the case. So plan on 2 more videos for Owlcrate, and then we will be moving into Fairy Loot. But yeah, so this is this. Let's go over what I read. Let's go over what we read. Going in order, the very first book that we read and the winner of this video is The Buried and the Bound. Those 4 stars. This is actually really, really fun. I'm waiting for my second book from Owlcrate to actually show up. That should be coming anytime soon now. So hopefully that shows up, because I actually really do want to read the second one. It's on Kindle Unlimited, so I might start it. But yeah, I really enjoyed this one. I thought this was pretty good. It's nothing like absolutely amazing. I think this is a series that I'm probably gonna forget about, which is why I want to read it now. Like, I want to read as much as possible now to kind of get it stuck in my head. Next, we tried The Depths. We DNF'd this one before 50 pages. This one just it wasn't my vibe. I didn't really like the writing. I didn't really like the characters. I didn't really like the plot. It wasn't it. And I feel like I've just read this horror book so many times. It was just a very generic feeling thing going on. So wasn't vibing with this one. Next up, we had Revel, which was like the super weird one, or Revel. This is the weird one that I actually tried to DNF like 3 times, and then I ended up finishing it and giving it a 3-star. It is a decent standalone. I wouldn't go out of my way to like read this, but I do think it was fun. And I do think it was pretty fun to have like a Moulin Rouge inspired book. It very much felt Moulin Rouge inspired. I didn't love the ending, like what it did. It felt kind of anticlimactic towards the ending, but overall this was a decently entertaining book. I just think it could have done a little bit more. Next up, we really didn't get much into this. This was before 50 pages DNF, Midnight Strikes. The time loop thing is just not my vibe. I do not like time loop. Would have skipped this box if I was paying attention and knew what this book was about. Next was the weird one, At the End of the River Styx. I would recommend this to a lot of people if you like grief fiction with a little bit of fantasy in there. I think you'll really enjoy this. I unfortunately am not a grief girly. I really don't like reading books about that. It's rare that I love a book like that, and this is literally just so centered around everything relating to grief, and I am not in the headspace for that. It is written incredibly well. It is paced very slowly, so keep that in mind if you decide to pick this one up. But I do think a lot of people are gonna like this one, so would recommend this one. So I think it's the only DNF that I would recommend. And then we have another one that just wasn't my vibe, The Sins on Their Bones. This is just, I don't like reading about this type of stuff in here. This is again almost like grief, but it is about toxic relationships and kind of the breakdown of a marriage, which I don't want to read about. I'm not interested in that at all. So this was not, again, not my type of vibe. And it is like a dark romance, which also not my vibe. Then we have the very last one we just talked about, To Kill a Shadow. This is, I think, this is gonna be wild for me to say, this is the worst book that we read in this video. Maybe one of the other ones that I DNF'd early would have been worse, but this is the worst one because it just didn't know what it was doing. It didn't know what it was doing. Pacing was bad. Romance was bad. A lot of this was really bad. So unfortunately, this is the loser of the video. But that means I'm definitely keeping The Buried and the Bound. I still haven't decided what I'm doing with Revel. I don't know if I'm keeping that one or not. But we are DNFing and purging 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 books in this video. I'm really sad. I thought Owlcrate was gonna like blow it out of the water for their first video, and that did not happen. That did not happen. I was really nice in this video to some of these. Revel, I would have DNF'd normally. I really didn't want to DNF it though. And then To Kill a Shadow, I gave 316 pages. So actually, I was super nice. And at the end of the River Styx, I think I read like 160 pages. So I was super nice in this video, actually. But yeah, this is our stack that we got through. We got through quite a bit of things, so that is awesome. But anyway, that is the first Purge Owlcrate video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Definitely make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any future Purge videos and vlogs and stuff. I think 2025 is definitely the year of the vlog. I'm excited about it. I gotta get better about b-roll. I just don't like b-roll. I don't like watching b-roll in other people's videos either. I normally skip it. So I just like don't ever think about doing it. But I know a lot of people love b-roll, so I might try and do more b-roll in my videos. I'm just not very good at it. I don't like going places and recording stuff. I like being in the moment when I'm places. So it's rare to see me film stuff out of the house just because I am existing out of the house and doing things. So I just don't really use my phone that much when I'm out of the house. But I may try doing that. So anyway, make sure you like the video if you enjoyed it. Make sure to leave a comment down below what you thought about these books, if you read any of them, if you enjoyed any of them. I won't change my mind on any of them to read them, but definitely let me know if you liked any of the DNFs or you liked any of the books that I didn't like, or if you enjoyed the books that I did enjoy. So I know a lot of you are fans of The Buried and the Bound, so I know you guys are gonna be excited that I read it in this video and I liked it. So anyway, that is everything I have for you today. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys in the next video.